All right, so we're doing something a bit different today. We're taking one piece, just one, and really digging in. It's it's this piece on modern life, kind of like how to handle it all, especially with all this tech around. For young people mostly, but I think, for all of us, really.
Yeah, there's a lot packed in there, for sure.
It's got this mix of, social commentary, but then it gets into personal advice, too, which, I found that kind of refreshing.
Yeah, it's not every day you see that combo.
Right. So, one thing that jumps out, at least for me, is how much the author's freaking out about, not freaking out, but, seriously concerned about how young people are. With technology these days.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge theme throughout this whole thing. They're really worried about social media.
And not just social media, but the whole shift from doing stuff to just, sitting back and consuming.
Yeah, exactly. They use this analogy, remember, about analyzing football more than playing it.
Oh, yeah. That one really got me thinking.
It makes you think, are we all becoming armchair quarterbacks in life? We're so busy, watching and commenting and analyzing, but we're not actually out there on the field.
And, this is something we've talked about before, but I don't know, seeing it in this piece just, brought it home again. Think about it. How much time do you, actually spend making something, creating something, versus just taking it all in?
Oh, way more consuming than creating, for sure.
Right. Way more. And this author, they're really pushing us to flip that, get out there and do something.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's not all doom and gloom, though, right? The piece also gets into some more practical stuff.
Oh, yeah, totally. There's a whole section on finances and, just general life priorities.
Yeah, the author's, big on education.
Huge on education.
Building a stable base, taking care of your family, all that.
Your real practical stuff. It's all about taking responsibility for yourself and, the people you care about.
It's they're advocating for financial literacy,
Yeah.
Planning ahead, being prepared, which honestly, in these economic times, that message, really hits home.
Doesn't it? Yeah. It makes you think about your own priorities.
Right. What are your top financial priorities? Is it security? Is it freedom? Is it something else entirely?
It's different for everyone, right?
For sure. But just having that awareness, knowing what matters most to you, that's got to be the first step.
Oh, absolutely. Awareness is key.
Okay, so let's get into something that, this always gets people riled up. Politics. This source had some strong opinions on this.
You could say that.
Yeah. Basically, their whole take is ditch the social media arguments.
Yeah, they're pretty much saying those online political debates are just a waste of time.
Right. They talk about the echo chamber effect.
Right, where you're just surrounded by people who already agree with you.
So you're never actually challenged.
Yeah.
And even if you do argue, it's it never really translates to any real world change.
Yeah, and you just end up frustrated and angry.
Totally. Honestly, I feel so many of those online debates, they're more about being right than actually having a real conversation.
I know, right?
But then, okay, here's where things get really interesting. The author brings up this idea of table manners, but not in the way you think.
Oh, yeah. That's brilliant.
Such a weird metaphor,
Yeah.
right? But it works.
It totally works. So they're applying this to communication in general.
Yeah.
Think about it. At a dinner table, there's a time to talk, there's a time to listen, a time to really engage, and then there's a time to just, sit back and observe.
And nobody wants to be that person who just talks the whole time.
Nobody. And it's about choosing your words carefully, knowing when to speak up, and knowing when, silence actually speaks volumes.
Oh, that's so true. It's it's almost like a code of conduct for thoughtful communication.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Being mindful of your audience, respecting different perspectives, and realizing that sometimes saying nothing is actually the most powerful thing you can do.
Especially in a world that's constantly bombarding us with information and opinions, knowing when to step back, to listen, to observe, that's a valuable skill.
So valuable.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, this whole piece just gave us a lot to think about.
It did.
From our tech habits to, financial smarts to those tricky online conversations. It's a really unique blend of practical advice and bigger picture social commentary.
And it's all delivered with a healthy dose of common sense, It's not preachy.
Not at all. It's just good, solid advice.
Yeah. And it leaves you with this question. In a world that's just overflowing with noise and distractions. How can you like cultivate those table manners of communication? How can you cut through the clutter, focus on what really matters?
And make your voice heard in a way that, well, that actually makes a difference.
Exactly. Something to think about as you go about your week.
Definitely something to think about.
For sure.